Please remain standing for a word of prayer.
Please repeat the prayer after me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Kindly take your seats.
Welcome to our much anticipated declamation competition, a stage where voices rise, stories come alive, and powerful words inspire us to change. Today, we'll witness the passion, talent, and courage of our speakers as they bring to life various messages through their oratory skills that celebrate their hard work and creativity by giving them our full attention and warm support. Without further delay, let's call upon Suhan to deliver the welcome speech.
A very pleasant morning to our respected principal, Dr. Sarodhan Rajan, our additional principal, Mr. Shivakumar, teachers, and my dear friends. It is my great honor and pleasure to welcome you all to our declamation competition today. A warm welcome to the judges, Mrs. Shobana Raghavan and Mrs. Janice. Declamation is not just about speaking. It's about bringing powerful words to life and feeling the emotions behind them. Today, our Judean participants will step into the shoes of great speakers and deliver wonderful speeches. I wish all the participants the very best. Remember, speak with confidence, speak from the heart, and most importantly, enjoy the experience. Let's all have a wonderful and inspiring event. Thank you.
Thank you, Suhan. We begin this very exciting and thrilling day with grade 6. We have Arna, a fraternity house, who will captivate us with her powerful speech. Let's give her our warmest attention.
Hold On by Ranjit Venkatesh. One fine morning, a teenage girl takes the bus to school. There's hope in her mind, music in her stride, and happiness in her heart. A young man boards the bus, calls out to her, pulls out a gun, and shoots her. One of the bullets hits her head and comes out through his shoulders, shattering the hope, stopping the music, and halting her happiness. This teenage girl is Malala. Malala dared to raise a voice for education of girls in a traditional society in Pakistan, a society which believed that women were made to bear children, to cook in the kitchen, to worship God, and nothing more. What would you do if you were shot at? Would you crumble and let go of your beliefs that is dear to your heart, or would you help to shoot down your enemy? One fine morning in the year 2002, a young woman walks to work. There's hope in her mind, music in her stride, and happiness in her heart. While at work, a man walks into the room, calls out to her, and says, "You're fired." Those words hit her head and go all the way down to her heart, shattering the hope, stopping the music, and halting her happiness. This young woman is me. I was fired from my job. What would you do if you were fired? Would you want to go find a new job, or would you go back home? I decided to go find a new job. The first month passed and my confidence was fading. The second month passed and my strength was waning. The third month passed and my belief that I could succeed was starting to disappear. I called my dad. My dad listened to me and then he said, "Dear, hold on to your beliefs. Come back when you win." When in life I doubt my beliefs, I remind myself these two words, hold on. It did help me to stay on with my job search, and I did find a new job. Malala dreams of becoming the Prime Minister of Pakistan and bringing education to all children in her country. If you face the trials and tribulations that life has thrown at you, Hold on to your beliefs. Understand that your present achievements are the results of passionately holding on to your beliefs. Hold on when you doubt yourself. Thank you.
That was a good start and a captivating speech. Up next is Spriti of Eternity House, ready to inspire us with her heartfelt oration. Please welcome her with a big round of applause.
Put God first. Put God first in everything you do, everything you have accomplished, everything you think you have. Everything you have is by the grace of God. 40 years ago, March 27, 1975, I was flunking out of college. I had a 1.7 grade point average. I was sitting in my mother's beauty shop. I was sitting in my mother's beauty parlor, and I'm looking at the mirror and I see behind me this woman under the dryer, and every time she looked up, every time I looked up, she was looking at me, just looking at me in the eye. Well, I don't know who she was. You know, she said, somebody give me a pen, give me a pencil, because I have a prophecy. March 27, 1975. She said, boy, you're going to travel the world and speak to millions of people. Well, I have traveled the world and spoken to millions of people, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that what she taught me and what she told me that day had stayed with me since. I have been protected, I have been directed, I have been corrected. I kept God in my life, and He kept me humble. I didn't stick with Him, but He stuck with me. So stick with Him in everything you do. Number 2, fail big. Today is the beginning of the rest of your life, and it can be very frightening. It's a new world out there. It's a mean world out there. You live only once, so do what you feel passionate about. Take chances professionally. Don't not be afraid to fail there. Don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Finally, pray. You put your slippers way under the bed tonight, so that when you wake up at the morning, you have to get your knees to reach there. And while you're there, say thank you for grace. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for wisdom. Thank you for kindness. Thank you for humility. And thank you for prosperity. Thank in advance for what's already yours. Say thank you for what's already yours. Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference. Thank you.
It was wonderful listening to you, your strong and confident voice. Now, Sagashra of Equality will take the stage to deliver a moving presentation.
Smiles are contagious. When I meet someone for the first time, I just smile, even before I say hello. When someone smiles at me, it makes me feel good. And if I'm having a bad day, it always makes me feel better. One time, a kid wasn't very nice to me and wouldn't let me play. I felt very sad until my friend came over and invited me to play. At that moment, his smile and kindness picked me up. I like to smile at people because it costs nothing, but it's worth a million. Every time I smile at someone, I'm sending sunshine into their life. It's a nice feeling. When my grandpa was in hospital, they didn't let me visit him because it was flu season. We missed each other so much. So I decided to FaceTime him. When he answered, we both smiled at each other. It was unexplainable love. A smile cannot be bought, borrowed, or stolen, but its value is endless. We all need more happy, smiling faces. It is the greatest power ever. If you smile, it can make the world a better place. It's written on my face. Next time you walk by someone, look at them and give them a nice, big, friendly smile because it feels great for both of you. We shall never know all the good a simple smile can do. So spread it across the world. Keep smiling always. Thank you.
We all were really smiling as we were listening to you. Thank you, Sagashra.
Let's welcome Smita of Fraternity House as she's going to share an engaging address that is sure to leave a lasting impression.
Replaced by Sophia by Angelie Raven Fitch. I was a global voice of a healthcare company whose mission was to save lives. And I got to communicate that message every day. It was my dream job and I loved every bit of it. However, when I got to the office that day, my boss had a sort of weird look on his face. He told me that they were replacing my voice. He said, she's there 24/7, speaks 19 languages, costs just 1% of what I am paid, and doesn't even need any health insurance. Yes, I was replaced by Sophia, AI. I said nothing and left the place. I walked to the train station, and who do I hear? I heard Sophia. Train approaching, please have tickets ready for inspection. She sounds so fake, doesn't she? I had been working on my voice my whole life to be able to speak the truth, to be able to speak from my heart. And now I am being replaced. Have you ever felt discarded, thrown away like a piece of trash, no longer needed? My best friend Grace was worried about me. She said that I needed to get out of the house, but everywhere I went, there was Sophia. Grace then took me to a storytelling group. One by one, each person told their stories. Lucia's voice trembled as she talked about her daughter going away to college. I could feel how much she loved her daughter. And Kareem's voice cracked as he talked about taking care of his mother, who has cancer. I could feel his pain. I would have never felt this way if Sophia had told their stories. I left that group with a renewed sense of understanding that your voice matters. About a month later, my boss called me and asked if I would consider replacing Sophia. Fired for being human and rehired for being human. AI has done some incredible things, but the human voice cannot be replaced by a machine. The human voice is more than just a tool for communication. It's a tool for connection. When you speak, you're not just saying the words, you're sharing a piece of your soul. Humanity and technology can coexist, but the future of the voice in 100 years will still be the human voice. Nothing can replace the human voice. Thank you.
It was wonderful listening to her. Prepare yourself for Angelina of Eternity House. We are eager to listen to her.
Have you ever felt like your parents and you come from different planets? My father and I, different galaxies. We speak different languages. He speaks Arabic, I speak millennial. He speaks safety and certainty. I speak freedom and fun. Picture a tall ex-military, but extra caring with extra high pants. That's my father, Sammy. Are you familiar with helicopter parents? My dad is an Iraqi drone. He always says, Mimi, come back home. The closer he hovered, the further I escaped. When I was 7 on a family vacation, the moment we got to the hotel, I sprinted straight to the open elevator doors, the silver gates of freedom. Dad flipped the hotel upside down to find me, and he found me sitting with kind strangers eating their pistachios. I mean, who needs parents when you've got pistachios? He said, Mimi, never do this again. You have no idea how much I love you. When I was 16, I went ice skating for the first time. Dad stopped me at the door and said, Mimi, please be careful. This ice, it's very dangerous. If you fall, you're going to die. But the teen in me was determined. You just want to stop me from living my life. He said, Mimi, come back home. You have no idea how much I love you. When I was 21, I was told I was losing my eyesight. That day, Dad asked the doctor, "Doctor, can I please give her my eyes?" That was the first time I had seen my military father cry. I had no idea how much he loved me. I grew up, Dad grew older, and we grew apart. I wanted to see the world before losing my sight. But wherever I went, something was missing. "Mimi, come back home." Although my father and I come from different galaxies, after 33 years, we speak the same language. I may have lost my sight, but my dad gave me insight on how to live, how to love unconditionally. No matter what language you speak, there is one that is universally understood, one that unites nations. That is the language of the heart. Thank you.
That was a passionate speech. Next, Shanvi will offer an insightful discourse that promises to enrich our minds.
Soil. I'm holding something in my palm right now. Something ancient, something we all depend on that may soon disappear. It's been around for millions of years, even before the dinosaurs. It's the primary source of food for every single human on this planet. Any guesses? Yes, it's soil. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why is an 11-year-old talking about soil instead of a favorite K-pop artist dropping a new album? Let me tell you, I've got many talented friends. Some can solve a Rubik's Cube in seconds, others write books or run YouTube channels. But me, I talk. I never knew talking could be a talent until I started winning awards for it. One day, I was a part of a public speaking workshop. We were asked to list topics we liked and disliked. I wrote K-pop under like and environment under disliked. I was tired of the same old school topics. Save water, save trees, save the planet. Then came the twist. We had to speak not on what we liked, but on what we disliked. So I started researching. Tigers, rivers, but what I found shocked me. There's a crisis so big it could even start the next world war, not over land, but over food. And guess why? Because we are losing soil. To grow crops, soil needs 3 to 6% of organic content. Rainforests have 70% of them. But in countries like India, just 0.5%. Soil is turning into sand. In the next 20 years, food production would drop by 40% for over 9 billion people throughout the world. And the fruits and vegetables we eat, they now have 90% fewer nutrients than in our grandparents' time. One orange in the 1920s had more value than 8 today. Do you expect an 11-year-old to eat 8 oranges in one go? This is a silent crime against humanity. It will lead to food wars, water crisis, and economic collapse. Soil degradation already costs the world over $10 trillion every year. And so I ask, what have we done? What are we thinking? Don't we feel responsible? I read a line from a wise man. Everything we see around us, including ourselves, is from the soil. And that made me pause. Soil had given us everything, and we've given back nothing. The solution? Start by spreading awareness. Before we move to another planet and destroy it too, we must fix the one we have now. Governments, celebrities, businesses, everyone must take this seriously. We must at least store 3 to 6% of organic content in our soil. We must be the generations that the future, maybe even the God, looks back with pride. And if that's not enough, there's a story from Krishna's childhood. One day, his mother Yashoda caught him eating soil. She asked him to open his mouth and saw the entire universe inside. So, even if we don't care about my generation's future, just in case Krishna comes back one day and wants to eat soil again. Let's make sure there's still some left for him. Don't let us down. Save our soil. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanvi. That was a very thought-provoking speech. Finally, we move on to grade 8. Venkat will present a heartfelt performance that will surely inspire you.
You Are Who You've Been Looking For by Adam Rowe. You are who you've been looking for. So, stop looking for more unless you're looking in a mirror, because it's about time for you to see clearly that you are who you've been looking for. That empty feeling that you've got, that hole in your chest, you've only got that feeling because you think you're not blessed with everything you need. You see, we live in a consumerist society, which means they need you to buy stuff. And the easiest way to sell it is to tell you that you're not enough. Buy this car, you'll get rich friends. Buy these shoes, you'll run fast. We're seeing it so much that we start believing these lies. But the truth is, the makeup they're selling to make you feel prettier is the same makeup you buy to stop feeling lesser. I've always been taught that arrogance is bad and vanity is not good. So, what should I do? How should I act? I'm supposed to love myself, but how do I even do that? Well, I got a trick that I picked up from a friend who noticed that I was quick to defend her when she would say something negative about herself. She would say, I'm so dumb. And I'd say, you're so brilliant. She would say, I'm so weak. And I'd say, you're so resilient. Then, when she said that she felt ugly, I'd say, you look beautiful. She asked me why I was so dutifully filling up her cup constantly and yet treating my own cup so irresponsibly. That's because when I looked in the mirror, my voice was quite clear. You're not good looking. You're too thin. Your hairlines are receding. You got a pimple on your chin. Well, that was when she gave me a piece of advice that changed my entire life. She gave me a hug and she said, treat yourself like someone you love. Yes, treat yourself like someone you love. You deserve this life because you are worth it. No matter what you say or do, you are perfect. Today, I hope I leave you with a direction. Now, take a good long look in the mirror and say, I am who I have been looking for.
Thank you, Venkat, for your wonderful speech. Next on stage, we have Father Shakti. He's going to deliver a powerful talk on an important topic. Let's give him a warm welcome.
My dad once told me that there are two gifts that unite us. But my mom once told me, son, stop crying and toughen up. Do you feel the contrast? Growing up, I wish that my mom was just like my dad, loving and caring. She never gave me a hug, never even said, I love you. Instead, she'd be rough and tough. In 2012, I pursued a psychology degree. Tough mama disagreed. She said, son, better become a doctor. Psychologists just label people. But mom, I love psychology. A son who's obeying his mom, disobeying disorder. And when dad heard all of this, guess which side he took? That's right, mama's. My dad walked up to me and said, it's all right, son. Behind every action, there's a story. Go find out. And as a good teenager, I disagreed. One Saturday, Mama, Dad, and I were at a party. Bright lights and a big ballroom. But amongst the crowd's chatter, I heard my mom talking to her friends. One of them said, your son is so good looking, like Robert Pattinson. Who? The vampire from Twilight? And my mom replied, that's right, definitely a vampire. When Dad saw all my sorrow, he said this, it's all right, son. Behind every action, there's a story. Go find out. At 19, I went through my first heartbreak. Do you remember how painful first heartbreaks feel? And when mom saw my tears in my eyes, she said this, son, stop crying and toughen up. I thought moms were supposed to be loving and caring, but my mom was none of that. I gave her a label, heartless mother disorder, and I avoided her. And after 3 weeks of avoiding her, one evening I came home and I was going up to my room, but I noticed my mom sitting in the living room. Mama's eyes had tears in them. My dad walked up to me and asked, You didn't find anything about your mom? How can I? She's always rough and tough. Son, what good ever comes from labeling and avoiding someone? Behind everyone's action, there's a story which deserves two gifts, your listening ear and your understanding heart. These gifts unite us. So, would you be the first to give two gifts to your mom? I went down to Mama. Mom, can we talk? You're always rough and tough on me. Why? It was then she said something that I will never forget. She said, Son, your grandma was always so rough and tough on me because she wanted me to go strong and humble. And I wanted that for you. I care for you, and I'm trying my best to become a good mother. Listening and understanding helped me to discover the story behind Mama's actions. My mom's love was unconditional. These two gifts united us since. Are you labeling or avoiding someone in your life? It could be anyone or anywhere in your home, work, or even community. My fellow Judeans, behind everyone's action, there's a story. So let's make this world a better place by giving more of our listening and understanding. As Dad said, these are the two gifts that unite us. Thank you.
Thank you, Adarsh. That was a very confident speech given by you. Our final participant will be Adhavalilakko, who will deliver a memorable speech filled with passion. Let's applaud him enthusiastically.
Killing Your Laziness by Jack Ma. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Wherever you are in the world, get ready to hear something that will shake you up, wake you up, and push you closer to the person that you're truly meant to be. Today, I'm here to talk about one of the most dangerous enemies of success. It's not lack of money, it's not about your competition, it's not about your education or background either. It's far more subtle and dangerous. It's laziness. Laziness is sneaky. It whispers to your ears when you're tired. Sleep a little bit more longer. When you're afraid, try it tomorrow. And when uncertain, let's just scroll for a bit more. And just like that, day by day, your potential starts slipping away. Not in one big step, but in small, invisible ways. Laziness isn't just a habit. It's a lifestyle that pays in regret. One missed task, one missed opportunity, one more excuse. And the worst part is that you don't even realize it's happening until it's too late. Let me ask you, when was the last time you heard of someone scrolling in the social media, watching Netflix, and then poof, becoming a millionaire overnight? Never. But I tell you what has worked. Waking up early, taking consistent action, showing up even though you don't feel like it. That's what successful people do. That's what winners do. Today, I'm here to tell you that kill your laziness before it kills your future. People often ask me, what is the secret to success? Here's the truth. There's no secret. Success isn't magic. It's not luck. It's not talent, though it helps. It's doing things that lazy people regret to do again and again and again. Laziness is a scam artist. It convinces you that you're resting while you're actually procrastinating. It tells you that you're thinking about doing things while you're actually avoiding the hard work. Now, I'm not saying that you should not rest. You should, but earn the rest. Let it be the reward, not the excuse. Let me share a personal story. When I started Alibaba, I had no money, no tech background, no investors. I was just a school teacher with a dream. I went to the Silicon Valley. I pitched my idea. 30 different people rejected me. They said that was stupid. But I didn't give up. I worked harder. I pushed through. I learned more. And now, Alibaba is one of the most biggest e-commerce companies in the world. Now imagine if I had just listened to their doubts. Imagine if I had said, maybe they're right. I should just give up. The world would not even know my name today. And the same goes for you. If you keep making excuses, the world will not know your name either. So here's how to kill your laziness. Wake up early. If you wake up at noon, you are already handed half of your day to your pillow. Set small goals. You can't climb a mountain in one big step. Take it day by day, inch by inch. Eliminate distractions. Turn off the phone, TV, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube can wait. Surround yourself with winners. You are the average of the 5 people who you spend your most time with. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, not drain you. Just start. Don't wait for motivation. Action creates motivation. The best time to begin was yesterday. The second best time is right now. And here's the funny part. Laziness doesn't give you happiness, it doesn't bring you peace, but just leaves you tired for no reason at all. Have you ever noticed lazy people are always tired? They say, I'm so tired. Tired from what? Thinking about doing things, lying in bed, scrolling endlessly? Laziness is a thief. It steals your dreams slowly and quietly until one day you look back and realize that you wasted years. You say you want success, then act like it. You say you want to be rich, then put in the effort. You say you want to be better, then stop waiting for the right time. So here's the truth. No one is coming to push you. Your dreams, your goals, they're your responsibilities. So I challenge you today. Stand up, clear laziness, fight for your goals as if your future depends on it, because it does. And when that future version of yourself look back at this moment, let them be proud. Let them say that this day I stopped making excuse. That day was the day I stopped fighting. And that day can be today. So it all starts with one decision, action. Thank you.
That was a very good finish and well delivered by you. Thank you, Adhavan. I hope everyone enjoyed listening to the diverse and inspiring topics presented today. May I kindly invite our esteemed principal and our distinguished judges to share their valuable comments. And of course, the eagerly waiting results too will be announced by our honorable principal.
Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate all the Taekwondo students. All the best to you for your regional competition. Congrats to all the teachers who have chosen the topics, the declamation well. The respective houses too. Dear children, you have delivered it well, but one thing I would like to say is enjoy the speech. Most of you were rigid. There was no eye contact. It's required in a declamation when you deliver. So the eye contact, enjoy the speech, and keep moving. So the judges will think that you are nervous. So keep moving, enjoy the speech, understand, and enjoy the speech. There's a long time for you to go. All the best for your future endeavors. Thank you.
A very good morning. Very good morning. Thank you. Usually I don't come out with many comments, but this stage today, I think I've got a lot of message from the students who delivered the speech, and I was marveling at the memory power. Yes, long speeches from 6th standard, how they were memorizing and delivering the speech. Really great children, not only 6, 7 and 8 too. Can clap for yourself. Okay, so there were 2 emotional speeches. I think one is by Angelina and the other one by Adarsh, isn't it? Yes? Good. And I think it was apt for you children, because this generation, you believe only what your friends say is the ultimate word. Yes, parents shout at you, parents correct you, teachers correct you, but you always take it in the harsh way. Little do you realize that everything is for your good. Yes or no, children? Did you understand what I said? Yes? Sometimes parents tell you, no, don't go there, don't go here, don't do this. Teachers also tell you the same thing. Yes, not don't go there, do this, do that, but you get so irritated, don't you? Don't you? Shall I just speak and go? Yes? Answer, children. What no? Huh? So, when any elders, okay, be it your teachers, your parents, any elders correcting you, please take it in the positive way, okay? And another, I don't know, I think it's Venkat who said treat someone as you would like to be treated. Is it, Venkat? Yes? That's, again, even to my seniors, I tell them, if you really want to bash somebody, just think how painful it would be for you if somebody hits you. Okay? So put yourself into that person's shoe, into that situation, and see how you would feel, how you would react, and then we will not have anybody hitting, kicking, boxing anyone. Okay? Right? And the last one I would like to make, I've made notice of the laziness. I really enjoyed that child's speech, Adavan. It was so natural, according to me. I really felt it was natural, okay? Right from the beginning to the last. Yes, and here, spending some more time with your parents, with your elders, reading books, all that was put forth. But what do? When on a reporting day, the moment your parents come, you just pluck the phone from their pockets and you're busy with it. How many of you even ask your parents, how are you? You do? Yes. Okay, so happy to see so many hands up, children. Yes, after all, mobile is only a piece of, like a furniture. Okay, so please, give enough time to people who have blood and flesh. Okay, they're waiting to speak to you, to listen to you, and to give you a hug. Thank you, children. You have really made our day today. Thank you so much. And thank you, teachers, for bringing out such lovely topics on stage. Thank you.
Once again, a pleasant morning to all of you. As both of them have explained, they know what is declamation, and very especially Janice, she has been training children and going along with them, meeting the level of different schools, regional level, national level. So she's been always there, seeing what a declamation should be and what it should have in it. That's the reason she's here. Now, the first thing what she told, I think you must understand, what is eye contact? You watch me, I'm speaking to you. Am I seeing in one direction? No. I see everywhere. That's called eye contact. You must make the others feel that you are talking to them. I'm looking at the people right at the back also. I'm looking at the people in the center, middle, everywhere. Making you feel that I'm looking at you. And when I do it, I also make you look at me and listen. That's the reason she said you should have eye contact. I think you must learn that in any speech. It can be just a welcome speech. The boy who did the welcome speech was very good. Only thing is, if his eyes were moving around to everybody, whoever is seated, it would be nice. Okay, and otherwise it was all good. I have to definitely congratulate the teachers who were behind the show, training the children. And one thing which I noticed is their pronunciation were really good. Good. There was no comment on that. They were really good. Hats off to you children and hats off to the teachers who were behind them. And also the intonation was good. Some of them were a bit nervous, so their voices trembled. And the memory power actually is very good. You've been showing that you can memorize very well. And the choices of the declamation speeches were very good. It was all valuable. If at all you all listened, you would have learned so many qualities and values in our life. Okay. Now, one thing what I noticed, this is especially for boys. 6th standard boys, raise your hands. Come on, let me see all the hands up. All right, hands down. 6th standard girls, raise your hands. Well, the percentage is very low. Hands down. Then why? There was not a single boy from 6th. Same from 7th. Why only girls? I just don't understand. I am belonging to that gender, but in no way you boys are below them. How is that? 6th and 7th. Only the girls were coming and speaking. So are you indirectly telling 6th and 7th, you can talk but not with sense? Is that what you mean? I know the noise what you make in a class, which means everybody knows to talk. You bring the roof down in a dorm, which means you know to talk. The noise in the boys' dorm is much, much more than what is in the girls' dorm. That means boys speak a lot. But then, why? On the stage, you were not there? Are you happy about it? I'm talking to 6th and 7th boys. Are you happy about it? How many of you felt bad when you saw only the girls coming and speaking from 6th and 7th? Honestly, tell me, how many of you felt bad? Yes. I appreciate your feeling. Put your hands down. Can I get the truth? How many of you boys in 6th standard and 7th felt, if I was given a chance, I would have done same work or better than this? Anybody? 6 and 7? Boys? Good. I can see a hand here and a hand there. Okay, good. Okay, put your hands down. So now, remember, do not miss an opportunity. Even if your teachers are choosing the girls, you can go and tell them, I also would like to speak. Give me a chance. Is it clear? Right? So I was a little disappointed when I saw only the girls coming and speaking in 6th and 7th. And my grief went away when I came to 8th standard. Purely boys. Good. Good. Good boys. Good. So, 8th standard girls, you have to work a lot to compete with the boys. They were doing a great job. So you girls, if you have to come to that level, you need to work a lot. So this was my observation. Otherwise, everything was okay. And these competitions, children, you must remember why we go on giving different competitions, not to show to the world that St. Jude's is full of activities. No. To make you all get the confidence that you can come up, you can speak to people. To make you completely out of the fear of the stage or the fear of addressing anybody. That is called the confidence. We are making you get that confidence. That is why so many competitions are given. And you must know, same people will not be coming, because more than 3 competitions, nobody can come back again here. There are so many. But then you will get a chance. Understand this is a good opportunity to test yourself. Am I confident? Can I face people? Can I address them? It's a good chance for you. So when the chance is given, please use it. Okay, right. Now the results. Yeah. Grade 6, Sahasra, equality. Comes first. Well done. Come. You know, the other girls also spoke well. When she started in the midway, I know she is going to win the hearts of the other two judges because she was not only talking about smile, she was smiling. Okay, so that made the whole lot of people feel that she is confident. Good, ma'am. Well done. Second place to Arna. And third place to Smriti. Arna spoke very well. Only thing is she was too serious. Too serious. Otherwise, I think everything else was good. And all of you did very well. Congratulations. The difference is very, very important. Grade 7, first place, Smrita of fraternity. Second place, Shanvi. Third place, and Angelina. They all spoke very well, and all of them had a specialty in each one. But anyway, when we summarize, somebody has to get first and second. Otherwise, you all did very well. Okay. 8th standard, Adavan Ilango first. Second place, Adarsh. Third place, Venkat Palaniappan. I should especially congratulate Adarsh, being a new boy, has come second. Same thing with Angelina and Smriti. Being new students, you have come to the stage and you did well. Congratulations. Special clap for all of them. And Adavan Nilambo, you are very good and you will be a great speaker. Develop this talent, okay? Keep asking your English teachers to give you more and more speeches on your, just practice. You got a talent, a style which is very unique in you. And you did very well. You are walking and telling it, but the only thing is, in between you lost a little bit of a confidence. Otherwise, I was thinking you are really going to get the first place. That confidence was good, okay? God bless you all. And the house position, it's all very, very close. Equality stands first. 373.5, and fraternity and eternity, only difference is 6.5 points only. Fraternity 350 points second. Eternity third place 343.5. Well done.
Thank you to our respected judges and our esteemed principal for your thoughtful and encouraging comments. We are truly grateful for your valuable insights. We'll carry our words with us as we continue our journey of learning and self-improvement. Well, finally, may I call upon duty to deliver the vote of thanks.
A very pleasant morning to everyone present here. Today, I feel honored to propose the vote of thanks. I express my sincere gratitude to the Principal, Dr. Sarad Dhanrajan, and the Additional Principal, Mr. Shivakumar, for encouraging us to express our talents. I thank the judges, Mrs. Shobana Raghavan and Mrs. Janice, for their valuable comments and corrections. I thank the teachers who have been our guiding lights in nurturing our talents. I thank the participants who made this event a very special one. I also thank the technical department for their support. Last but not the least, I thank all my fellow Judeans. Thank you.
Once again, a big thank you to all.